Hello and welcome to Downtime Activities and welcome to 2024. Woo! Happy New Year!
You got loud enough there that Discord cut out halfway through. So,
Muted me. I kind of
uh,
spiked there with my wooing. Um, this is our kind of year review video. It's something we've done since we started the channel. At the beginning of every new year, we kind of go over the previous year of videos. We talk about what we recorded, what kind of some highs and low moments, go over the state of the channel, ask opinions and advice from people watching, all that good stuff, and all of it just kind of in one place where we just kind of sit and have a casual conversation about it.
mhm.
There's a ton of people involved in the channel. Will here and I'm Matthew are kind of the two people who are kind of we're the figureheads at least. We're the ones who do a lot of the editing and the recording and the kind of setup and decision making stuff on the channel. So we just like to sit down and talk about it. The channel's been going for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's it. I think it was in October when we were sitting down to film the Dread game and realized that it was the third Dread game that we'd filmed for the
Third
channel,
annual Dread
um,
game. Yeah.
which just seemed like really kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um, it's weird just like how long ago now that it's been, like 3 years or going on 3 years, how far back some stuff feels. Like Tyler getting in touch with us to play Metroville and stuff
Hmm.
like that is just like, oh wow, that was a long time ago. We haven't played Metroville in a
Which we
while. We
need
need
to.
to we need to hopefully that's something that I mean we'll do this year or
Looking forward to
kind of
doing
into
this.
next is doing a slightly longer Metroville game
Hmm.
because we've only ever gotten to kind of play it in bursts and we still talk very fondly about it. So we
Yeah.
just like want to play
Uh,
a bunch
a
more.
brief disclaimer or just explanation. I apologize for coughing or sniffling or anything like that. I am recovering. I'm in the process of recovering from a sickness. I'm doing pretty good, but still a little sick, so I'll probably be coughing every now and then. Um, and also, if you haven't watched some of our more recent discussion style videos on the channel, you might notice that this is a little different than our usual format, which is usually us sitting at a table across from each other. Big change that happened, two big changes kind of that happened this year as far as the location of people. We had a friend come back to the town that we all
Mhm.
were living in, and then I've moved. So I live way far away from where I used to live, where everyone else currently lives. Matthew Costigan, you might notice a big Sasquatch man on the channel. He came back to us, and I've moved. So we still plan on doing a recording, still plan on playing games together. There's still going to be putting stuff on the channel. It's just made some things different and more complicated, and changed
Mhm.
the format of some stuff. So like this is how these conversations are going to go.
And that's a lot of the reason that like our release schedule over the past couple of months really has like been kind of sparse.
It has been.
Um, as we're just like working on figuring out how to get some stuff recorded, and even some of us just like trying to get back into the flow of writing videos and um, editing and stuff like that. I mean, and that was part of the problem with this year as well. Is like like I got a new job, so I have a lot less time for writing videos and editing videos. And then like with you moving and it complicating the setup and stuff, it's just like there's a lot of stuff in flux. We've got some ideas that haven't quite been hammered out yet on like just ways to get other stuff out there. I know um, Skler and Costigan have talked about doing a couple of different podcast ideas that they've kind of thrown around, which would probably be a little more eclectic,
Mm-hmm.
a little less gaming focused. But Downtime Activities was never sort of meant to just be Magic the Gathering or just be tabletop RPGs. Obviously, that's kind of what we focus on because that's what we like doing. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, there's a little bit of video game content on there, and we've talked about doing a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
There's at at some point there's like probably going to be a highlight reel from a side Baldur's Gate game uh, that might be appearing hopefully this year on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody can like put up with the core concept of it for long enough.
Long enough to do it. Don't get disgusted by it.
Oh.
Before we dive into content stuff, plans for this next year, something we usually do at the end that I think I'd like to do at the beginning this time, just for the sake of the number of people being engaged. If you are watching this video and aren't able to make it to the end, but are able to get to this point, something that's, I think, really important to us is to know what brought people to the channel. What content you enjoy, what you're watching, what you want to see more of. We're certainly not trying to necessarily pander or like we want to make all the we want to get all the views. Like clearly we're still a very small channel. We do this for fun. We're gonna make the stuff we want to make, but we want to know what people are enjoying. We really love our RPGs. We love playing them. We love our kind of our play on the channel, our campaigns and stuff like that. They tend to get fewer views than the shorter videos. That's just algorithmically how the world works. But if you are watching any of those or watched any of those, please say which one you watched and what you love. Do you love the Savage World stuff? Do you love the Star Wars stuff? D&D? If you're a Metroville fan, we've been pining to play some more Metroville. We're probably going to do that at some point. So any comments about what brought you here? What was like the video that made you show up? And if you're a subscriber, why'd you subscribe? What are you hoping to see more of? Because we want to keep making content that people want to see.
Well, and that's something that's worth mentioning too, is just the like, over the years now that this channel's been active, as small as it is, like how by and large overwhelmingly positive the response has been.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, and everybody has their own opinions about these games that we all love to play and how best to play them and stuff like that. And a lot of people have had sour experiences. I think for some reason in D&D in particular, with bad play groups or people causing trouble, and that's super unfortunate. And that's part of what the channel I think is kind of all about. Is we often we've said it more than once. The core RPG philosophies for Downtime Activities are make story-based decisions and don't be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people unfortunately haven't had that experience, but like by and large the comments have just been like super positive, and we've gotten really great responses. We were talking just before filming this about like the latest comment we got and how not only is it a super cool comment, but it the like sort of concern that the guy raises is like a super valid one that we're like, we should maybe do a video
We should
on
probably
like
talk about that.
about this, because it's an interesting question that I think every game master kind of struggles with at one point or another. But like, the channel wouldn't be anything without people watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of us screaming into the void at that point. And the fact that like people are out there listening and are like responding in kind and have their own ideas on the character builds, and or are appreciative of the RPG reviews that we've gotten to do, and or like how many people have been helped by your like writing your own Dread campaign video. It's like really cool, and it feels like every year that we've been doing this is like there's just kind of been more and more of that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a while this year where it was just like comments every single day, which for a channel our size is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like we just like, did you see the latest comment? And it's just like, yeah, I've responded to 4 of them today. And it's like, no, the other one.
The new latest comment.
It's like for us, that's a weird experience, but it's like everyone's just been so like extremely positive,
overwhelmingly positive
it's really
responses. Cool. And even people who disagree with something we say or catch like some rule mistake I made or something like that, people have been so overall really just like respectful and appreciative of the content, well intentioned with what they're saying, not trying to actually or like be be jerks about a concept or an idea, like just. And I think that's always been our hope with the channel, is that we're fine with a slow growing community of people who enjoy what we make, and we want it to be a even if it's a small group, a group of people who just enjoys the content and is positive and wants to to learn and grow and become better and have more fun together as a group. So
and
it's been great.
This is a channel devoted to things that are supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like when they like these are games. And when they stop, I think, truly being fun is when it's time to find a different one or find different people to play with. And um, it's just kind of always been the philosophy of the channel. And I feel like this year in particular, especially with a lot more of the sort of short discussion videos and stuff like that, we've been really trying to kind of push that message forward a little bit.
Yeah, and kind of like you said with our kind of core ideologies, philosophies. It's just we want to tell good stories, have fun together, and if you've had a negative gaming experience, please don't assume that's what all gaming experience
Yeah.
is. There's so many people out there who want to have a really fun, positive experience, and finding that group, we're very, very lucky as a group to have kind of grown as a gaming group together and have a tight core group. That group
Mhm.
exists out there for you. Definitely don't lose hope if you've had negative experience. But let's talk about the channel. Let's talk about the channel. We kind of like to talk about first and last videos of the year. And I think that we were kind of talking about that before. Our first, well, Let's start with the last video. The last video of last year, I believe, was one of our two-player Baldur's Gate 3 videos.
Mhm.
I think that kind of came out late December. That's something that just you and I have been playing for a while. It's something that's easy to do from a long distance away. Pretty easy for me to just record my perspective, and it's a game that we've all really really enjoyed. And we've also, like you said, end of the year especially done a lot of these kind of discussion videos. We've had the bonus action series for quite a while, which has been kind of a podcast style,
Mhm.
long form conversation about a topic. And we've had the help action series for a while, which has been a lot of me breaking down usually a D&D 5e like concept, like a rule, and getting really number crunchy about it and then giving advice on it. And we love both of those, the concepts of both of those. But these, like, we're still working on a name. We've had some suggestions. Thank you for anyone who's posted suggestions for ideas to that. But these kind of mid-length conversations are just you and I talking about something gaming related. We've had some good response to those, and we enjoy making those and probably continue to. The first video of last year was a Devils of the West video. I think it was
Yeah,
you were
it's
saying.
looking at this a couple minutes ago kind of surprised me that the first video of on January 1st, 2023 was the beginning of our what we refer to as our London arc in Devils of the West, which is really quite late in the Devils of the West
Mm-hmm.
story. Um, it's like upon return from that London arc was really just kind of like the end of that campaign just kind of came on very quickly.
Yeah, it
Um,
heated up a lot. The return was kind of that big crux moment where you
mhm.
realized things were in motion and you had to stop the big bad evil sooner rather than later. And there's still more sessions into the year, but it definitely that's where the pace picked up a lot on the kind of main quest line, as it were.
Mhm.
And for anyone who's watching this but didn't watch Devils of the West, that's a series that I ran in the Savage Worlds game system. It was a campaign. I think it's like 50. I think it was exactly 50 episodes long. I think is what it ended up being.
Uh,
And they're about an hour, hour and a half each episode. Um, it's a Savage Worlds game, much in the style of their sort of gothic horror
Deadlands.
western Deadlands. But I
Hmm.
said your stuff's weird, threw it out, and made up my own. So it's kind of a gothic western, a gothic horror western story with an amazing cast of characters that ended up being a really really fun and really really uh, had some really really cool moments in it. But that came to a close this last year, and that was a
Hmm.
really fun game to run. Really enjoyed doing that. We also um, did a little bit of Star Wars content. Jerry kind of did his first soiree into game mastering or star mastering, as we like to call it for Star Wars, and ran our Republic Commando themed kind of short Star Wars series, which was a ton of fun to play. We were a bunch of Republic Commando scumbags. Um, you also started an Epic 6 campaign that we've been playing for a while. That was kind of a small, kind of very small group growing out into a three-person group that has had some really, really fun moments. I think that's.
It's kind of been I kind of ran it not quite on a whim, but it was inspired by you know uh, doing another video on just like running an Epic 6 in general, um, and then like what the concept of it is. Somebody kind of wanted a little bit more detail, so I did a video like actually sort of designing a campaign. And then just essentially asked Erickson, I was like, do you want to just actually run this for the channel? Um, which unfortunately, my entire history within Downtime Activities has been running campaigns that I have not prepped for and that I have not like planned to run.
Hmm.
The campaign that I will hopefully be running after this Epic Six, that I'm planning on running after this Epic Six, was supposed to essentially launch with the channel, uh,
You've
and we
had
just
a
didn't,
lot of time to prep for that.
and it just didn't happen. And then prepping for another D&D campaign, uh, the Epic Six kind of gotten the front in the way of that. Like most of the things that I've run for the channel have kind of come on a short notice with just the like, hey, do you guys want to do this for the channel? Let's like that's kind of a niche we have open to us right now. So let's try and fill that. And so I just feel like I've constantly gotten stuck doing that and haven't actually gotten to run the campaigns that I've been actually prepping for.
Hmm.
Um,
And that we've all
which
been
is
excited to
kind of
play too. I
yeah.
think it's the tale as old as time. Too many campaigns to run, not enough time to meet and play them all. If there's any group out there that doesn't have that problem, share your secrets, because that's kind of been our issue for as long as we've been playing. Is that we have so many games we
Uh,
want to run and only so much time as adults to meet and play games.
and part of the problem with being kind of heavily invested in multiple systems like we are,
Mm.
um, is it really broadens the scope of campaigns that you can run. Um, we've talked a lot about this, how like just about any even weird campaign idea now is just I could just run that in Savage Worlds.
Hmm.
Like it's such a versatile system. Like Savage Worlds is just built for this. I can just run it in that, and that's just always kind of been my problem. Is like this is, to some degrees discovering Savage Worlds was a mistake just because it like
It opened up
it
this wide
it
swath.
it did and it means now that like I've got the prep for multiple different campaigns running in the background and each one is like kind of its own unique or weird idea just because Savage Worlds will let me run them.
Hmm.
Uh,
We also started. I started a new after finishing Devils of the West. I kind of took my break from, excuse me, my break from game mastering, and that's kind of when Jerry came in and did his short Star Wars campaign, and then I came
mhm,
back with our kind of OG system of 5e, which we love and hate at times, but a lot of uh, we know very well and enjoy playing in still.
mhm,
Um, and I started our Skygate game, which has been running for a while, and we are working on the setup to continue running. So it's very hopefully very much not a dead campaign. It's one that'll pick back up once we finalize our recording setup. We've kind of had to shift around some equipment and make stuff work. But it's been a very fun campaign to run too. Kind of
mhm.
a underdark expedition exploration heavy campaign, and we kind of
We only
just got into the nitty gritty of
yeah.
that portion of it. So and that's the one that I had started working on years prior to starting. So I have a massive pile of notes and lore and stuff that I can use to run. So very very much enjoying running that. Very excited to get back into that. We've had a lot of fun with running those games. You also ran we did our kind of Halloween content. We always try and have
Mhm,
our spooky month. I don't know, something that we just the first year of the channel we did and we've just stuck with since then is kind of having a Halloween month, and it's looked a little different each time. Like
mhm,
I did I'd done some like 5e character builds or kind of concepts based around sort of gothic horror werewolf vampire stuff. We have our annual dread game. I always run a dread game every
mhm,
year. That's kind of our Halloween party thing. We had done Ozzy's Mysteries the year prior to last, where it was kind of our Scooby Doo esque Mysteries Inc. except a bunch of scumbags. And then this last year, you kind of did a new thing of sort of making your own bare bones RPG system and running
mhm.
something. What was that kind of like? I know I enjoyed playing in it.
Well, I mean, and it is worth mentioning we intended to do another sort of episode of Ozzy's Mysteries
Mm-hmm.
this year. It was sort of right when scheduling was getting really complicated for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
so it didn't really work out. But I built a kind of one shot themed bare bones RPG system called Vox Noctis. I've since lost all the rules for it in a tragic computer incident. But it's, the rules are quite simple, and I'll just put the document back together at some point. Which was it was fun to do, I'm really happy with how well it worked for us not testing it in any way before we just dove straight into it. Um, but you can kind of get away with that with a one-shot system. Um, and everybody made characters just as delightfully weird as I was hoping they would, within the very sort of loose boundaries of what they were given. And that's part of what was fun about the system, is like letting players intentionally make kind of broken characters and intentionally, make characters with very powerful abilities. Um, and sort of everybody, at least a lot of people took that as a challenge of trying to do something that would make my job hard. uh, to sort of varying degrees. Scler in particular, just like summoning various historical personages throughout the entirety of the campaign was uh, certainly difficult. But it really worked quite well, and for a system that was, designed to sort of put everybody at odds to each other and make sure everybody has sort of their own goals, and their own like bits of secret knowledge and stuff like that. It kind of had the effect that I wanted, where nobody trusts anybody, everybody's sneaking around trying to do their own thing, and um, and a lot of people are in this mansion looking for something. So all of a sudden it's just like everybody's in the library, like casually trying books on the shelves to see if it opens a secret passage, or looking behind paintings and stuff. And it just immediately created this like remarkable air of paranoia. Um, and just like distrust and stuff. And really, I'm really quite happy with how it worked out. And we had there was a little bit of a conversation about doing kind of a Christmas themed one, which again, just with scheduling, didn't work out.
Mm.
But Fox Noctis will probably show up on the channel in the future, uh, as we uh, can make use of it. Really, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a very kind of simple but effective system
Mm-hmm.
for that style of game. Um, if you're interested in that at all, I'm sure at some point when you rewrite the rules, you might be able to release it in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But if it just the concept of kind of a a sort of, we used a clue board as our map in the game, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very
Yeah.
much this kind of everyone has a secret goal. Everyone has a sort of secret power and a resource to use it, and it's a a wickedly fun time. It's very different, and it's very like very cutthroat PvP, but it doesn't really at the same time it's not like all out like building characters to kill other characters. Like you're just trying to complete your goals more so, and that's the trying to complete your goals better than other people do theirs or stop them from completing theirs.
and and, and
It's a
we kind of
unique
described
system.
it. Yeah, and we kind of described it as a tabletop art, or like one shot tabletop RPG mixed with some kind of party game and board game elements.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we used a clue board just because it was taking place in a mansion very much like that, and that like
It was very much a murder mystery in a lot of ways.
let everybody, and it very much let everybody figure out where, knowing where they were. And um,
And we're back. Technical difficulties aside.
that was weird. Um, but yeah, it just I'm really happy with how it worked out. And kind of having a winner to declare at the end of it, and by everybody kind of earning points, completing their secret objectives, and like, you know kind of assigning secret objectives to people, as they kind of built their characters and stuff like that, um was a lot of fun. It's a little prep work heavy, but the system is so easy to run that it almost doesn't matter, because it's like these are, this is how the dice work. These are what you need for success. Here's how you make your character. And everybody had characters made, in 5 minutes. And then it's just pulling everybody aside and working out their sort of, trademark abilities and secret goals and stuff. And it's uh it yeah, it very much is cutthroat, but not in a just like sort of PvP board game kind of way. Like you don't just, everybody's to some degrees trying to put off the violence as long as possible. Like the way everyone's wandering around the mansion and nobody trusts anybody. But nobody's willing to just like start the fight is like was really a lot of fun.
And then when the fighting did start, it was fairly quick and brutal.
Mhm.
It wasn't super like slog down slow combat. It's a perfect like one shot party game, I think, for RPG
Mhm.
lovers. If this at all sounds interesting and you haven't watched it, go check it out. It was a fun little short series to run, and it went really well. It made for a very fun story. Um,
It, oh, good.
if you have something else to say about it, go ahead.
Not really.
Okay. Because I was gonna do a seamless transition.
Oh, perfect. Right. Sorry for calling it out. Sorry for calling out the seam in your transition.
Dang it! Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
Hey, this guy over here is transitioning to a new topic. Hey, everybody, look at
Hey,
this.
everyone, look at this! Look at the seam over here. Uh, at any rate, I think next thing to kind of talk about. I mean, what else? Is there any other video things we did this last year that, as far as like things we released this last year, do you want to talk about, or do we want to move into kind of future talk about 2024?
I mean, I have kind of just been glancing through, some of the like release list and stuff, and like, there's definitely like, I feel like to some degrees it's worth mentioning that like this is some of the hardest I've laughed on the channel. I think, partially just because of the Epic Six in particular, um, we've gotten Jerry to cry multiple times in the Epic Six, like just laughing so hard, and he turns bright red, and he's sitting there with his glasses in his hands, just like barely able to breathe, just tears streaming down his face, and it's like that just brings me so much joy. Is like when we can just get somebody at the table to laugh that hard,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so it's like moments like that it's just like really like glancing back through some of these videos, like the Elven Sea Shanty that you did just off the cuff was um, really incredible. The just like natural storytelling of the Republic Commandos game with like how my character lost his arm during training. Uh, we figured that out in like the last episode, sort of completely organically.
How that
Um,
happened. Sorry about that.
was
Rancor apologizes.
um, was really awesome, and it like this was partially, I think it's just because we're back in 5e, but just the like just demonstrating what our play group is like when it comes to your obtuse puzzles of just like, because it was really both of like near the end of this year with the Skygate recordings, both of the big kind of puzzles we had
There's
to
the
solve just
Altar of the
immediately.
Unfathomable and the Black Chasm Bridge, which are two very
and
weird puzzles I came up with.
and just immediately like, oh, this is weird. Lab coat's on, everyone. We're not attempting to solve this puzzle anymore. We're just experimenting now. Um, like, and that's always just kind of what we've been with weird puzzles or puzzles we can't immediately figure out in games, and I think in Dungeons and Dragons in particular. And like, I think both those incidents just showcased it, just like really really well.
as a
Just like
group as a group, you guys, like, as the person who's run the most in our group, we have lots of people who run, luckily, but as a person who's run the most, and specifically the most like 5e, and is somebody who likes making weird puzzles, you guys as a play group tend to not say, how do we solve this puzzle? You tend to say, how do we understand this puzzle to its limits? And instead of like looking for the point A to point B solution, you want to take a magnifying glass to the road of that entire track between those two and really play with it, which
and
makes
like
for me having to think about much deeper the weird concept I came up with for a puzzle.
and like any historical technology, we immediately go from how do we understand this to how do we weaponize
How do we
this?
use
Can
this to be absolute menaces?
can we take this puzzle with us and cause strife to other people? Um, I'm hoping the portable octagon still exists somewhere
I'm
down
sure you
there,
do. We'll see.
and we can
We'll see.
and we can delve deeper and find some way of carrying it with us, and then no boss will ever run away from us in the middle of combat again. Because if they run away, they'll come right back. It'll be awesome.
Um,
Um,
Before we transition to 2024, I would like to do one last thing, and that is I want you to try and think of your single favorite 2023 channel moment.
um, it might be this other thing that I was just about to talk about, which was the Crimson Fox finally making his official tabletop RPG reveal. The Crimson Fox has been a running joke of ours for
Years.
a long time.
Longer than the channel by quite a bit.
Because our local brick and mortar game store, I don't know if they still have this or not, but for a while they had this like kind of bargain bin of minis, which were like, I mean, it was everything from like weird little mass-produced minis that got sold as parts of sets for common enemies to like figurines from other board games. I mean, it was just like, but they were weird little cheap minis and stuff. And there's one in there of some sort of thug from an old D&D set. It's I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but he's this guy in this black and red hooded cloak and mask
With a crossbow.
with a crossbow and armor. And like for some reason, we're cruising around our local brick and mortar. We're just looking at rule books and stuff, and I pulled him up out of the box and went, "The Crimson Fox." And
The legend was born.
and a couple months later, we went back and bought one of those minis to make sure we
Because
had
there was
one.
like 10 of those in the bargain bin.
There were a lot. So and then it somehow built off of the joke that is sort of the core of an encounter from Dragon Age Inquisition, where you meet this max. You like getting these mysterious notes to meet this personality. You get there to meet them, and this like masked individual appears, and he's like, "No, the Inquisition must have spent immeasurable resources tracking me down." Like, so it's like, so tell me, like, why are you here? And you just kind of have to. Your only dialogue options are like, "Who are you?"
Who are you?
Like, I followed some notes to get here. I have no idea who you are. I have no idea what's going on, and he won't buy it that you're like.
It couldn't be me, a
clearly,
happenstance.
Yeah, clearly you're here for him, and that joke just kind of got bolted onto the Crimson Fox, the idea of like coming home one night and he's just in your house talking about the like immense resources it must have taken to track him down. It's like, I have no idea who you are or what you're doing in my house. Please leave, sir. And the joke just built over the years, and he like, we have kind of boxes of minis and stuff which we don't use often enough, and we put him in his own little dice box because it was the perfect size for him. And you have a label maker, so we labeled it as the Crimson Fox. And we've been talking for years about him showing up in a tabletop RPG, and he finally did. And like, I think it going from this like, oh, we've been burgled, and like, here comes a side quest to figure out like what they were after and what they stole and stuff too. You've got to be joking. I know who this is.
Oh
like,
no. Oh god, he's finally done it. Oh no.
But it just like Jocelyn wasn't necessarily like, she's been around since the Crimson Fox kind of became a joke, but she wasn't expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have any idea
Her
who
and
this
Jerry
was going to be.
really weren't there at the origin of the Crimson Fox, so they don't have the same like understanding of all the jokes that have been told for years about this
So I just love the mix of reactions from like people like me and Costigan who are like, oh great, I can't believe he's finally done it, he's here, and to people who are just actually confused and amused. I think that's one where we just about got Jocelyn to cry laughing. It was like the Crimson Fox showing up for the first time. So that might be my top moment from like the channel last year is the Crimson Fox finally making his appearance. Strangely enough, one of the few of our like gameplay videos that has 2 likes. Like
some people
like, I guess There's other people like that Crimson Fox
He's
too.
the
I don't know.
people's champion. He's the people's champion. What can you say?
The Crimson Fox, Skygate Episode 4.
I think that I've been I've been apprehensive to introduce him officially because I wanted to do him justice and I needed the right setting. And I felt like the city of Skygate was kind of enough of a Gotham-esque city to make this like idiot Batman show up. My favorite moment, I think, and it might be just because I rewatched at least once, if not multiple times, all of the Skygate stuff as part of my prep. I tend to rewatch before, like the previous kind of episode before I do the next session of or sessions of
Right.
recording, so that I'm kind of up to date and remember all the little details of the previous one. Which is a really nice thing about recording your games is you can have like a hard copy of you don't have to take the same notes. But I think my favorite moment of this last year was giving Matty G the #1 Booyag mug. The kind of full table wide reaction to the #1
Yeah.
Booyag mug. Having that moment was just like, and the true unadulterated joy on his face receiving that was like, chef's kiss. That's like a special moment.
Apparently, he drinks tea out of it all the time, and won't most of the time won't even let Jocelyn touch it because he knows she's going to put coffee in it, and he doesn't want her to stain the mug.
But yeah, that was I think that was a very special moment too that I really enjoyed this last year.
That was like that sort of official reveal was really fantastic. It like, it's just one of those things where it's just like the physical object of it.
We love our physical props in D&D.
Yeah.
As a group, we love them.
And just it caught Matty G so off guard, and it's just like it was really, really fantastic the way like the it's just one of those things where it's like, this is going to derail a game and I don't care.
Worth it. Absolutely worth it. Yeah, that was a fun moment. And it led to what I think we're going to officially be calling, we want you. A lot of YouTube channels has like a name for their audience, something based off of the name of the channel or something. I think Booyag Assistants are what we want to call anyone who's a fan of the channel. Maybe at some point, if we become big enough and want to be more serious with this and do something along the lines of like crowdfunding of some sort, we will probably have tiers called Booyag Assistant or #1 Booyag Assistant or whatever it is, because of that kind of running joke now. So it's lore in the channel now, which is a beautiful thing. It's like the ass kicking leg.
Absolutely. Well, and even just the name, the Unfathomless has been co-opted into sort of other stuff and has kind of just continued to grow because it's
Me
like,
fail and save. That's unfathomless.
yeah, exactly. Like, that type of stuff is just like, it has the way of growing, and like that's always just been kind of the type of people we are with like with our inside jokes, is they tend to just like have quite a bit of life to them. So like and that's one that it's just like I definitely want to just like keep going. I just want that to really like stick around.
Yes. I think with that we can transition to next year, or this year I should say. There's we can't go over full detail of everything we have planned. We haven't fully planned out everything that's going to come out, of course.
We haven't fully planned out really all that much.
There's not a whole... We don't plan shit. We just kind of roll with it. I think as far as content to expect on the channel, stuff that we're going to continue doing, we're going to continue playing games because we love playing games. I think that soon, hopefully, you'll be seeing Skygate episodes reappearing on a weekly basis on the channel. We are very close to finalizing our new setup for recording it, so that should be kind of back up and running. I'm guessing we're going to be doing a lot more of our kind of discussion style videos because it only requires 2 people to schedule,
Right.
and they're fairly straightforward to record, and we really just enjoy doing them, and we can get quite a few of those done and out. which, I mean, on any of those or on this, please, any topics, any like RPG topics that you want discussed, want advice on, anything like that, throw that down in the comments. We have our own lists going at any given moment, but we love outside advice or outside questions to help kind of spur new ideas.
Absolutely.
We have a project that we've been working on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Something that we had the original idea for like 2 years ago at this point.
Something like that.
More,
Yeah.
maybe. More, closer to 3 maybe at this point.
I don't know if it was full 3 years ago, but
like between 2 and 3.
It's been between when we came up with the idea and when we actually started filming was a very long gap, and then it took us a very long time to get through filming, much longer than it should have. We should have just been more on top of it.
It was kind of the third campaign getting run, and so I feel like it was always the third one that we scheduled to meet because it was the one that we weren't releasing yet, so we didn't feel that same pressure.
Right, and it required a much more complicated setup and significantly more effort, both from the players and from the game master.
And
we're like intentionally being very vague here about everything, but
I think what we're willing to say is our project, codename Border Collie.
Right.
If you're like a true crime fan, listen up. That's about as much as I'll say, because we have a really unique, cool concept that's going to be coming out. That's by far our biggest production we've done. The most effort has gone into the recording setup. The most effort, I think, has gone into the work behind the scenes of like the stuff needed to play the game by quite a bit. And the editing process is going to be the most involved. And it's something that, you know, we've had bits of our amazing friend group's talents coming forward. This is going to be a big example, a big example of like different people's things that they're good at getting to come together, and different skill sets really getting to come to the forefront to make this cool project.
There's a piece of sort of ancillary content for it. A very intrinsic piece of it, which is maybe one of the best things that has been like made for the channel, period. It's
and believe us, that's a high bar. Have you seen Ozzy's Mysteries intro? It's animated.
But the speed with which that other creation came together for the sake of this project was astounding, and the quality of it is really incredible. And I want to do a deep dive on this project, and I want to talk about it and explain the backstory and your guys' phenomenal efforts over the course of it, and like we want to talk about it really, really bad, which is why we talk about it ourselves quite often.
Yes.
So, and we will do like some other sort of ancillary content around it, doing kind of post-campaign breakdown and stuff like that once, so we get a chance to really talk about it kind of behind the scenes.
The good news is, and this is kind of a last year thing, filming is done. It is fully filmed, fully recorded. We have the entire thing, at least the raw footage, done.
Yeah.
This is going to be
down to the wire.
Yeah, it was right down to the wire, especially with my move kind of complicating stuff. But luckily, the timing worked out really well to where we were able to get it done at a normal, non-rushed time before I left. And it was something that I had to be in person there for by the nature of this recording. The editing process is underway. It is, again, the most involved editing process we've had. By quite a bit.
Without a doubt.
And somebody who's not our kind of normal editor, but is a very skilled video editor in our group.
He's much better than either of our regular editors, those two editors being you and me.
Us. But he has kind of taken on the majority of the editing process for this, because it is this kind of more involved thing, and he's better at it. And it's underway. And with any luck, you should be seeing a trailer for that, and the start of that releasing, at least, hopefully, before the end of the year. We don't know. We don't have a set timeline. It's still in process. And we kind of want to have all or most of it pretty much edited and done prior to us starting to release it so that we have it. You know, we don't want to have any delay. We want this to kind of be a really
Right.
kind of a flagship product of the Downtime Activities YouTube channel. I think it's something that we're really proud of and we're really excited to unveil.
And
So we
it's
want to do
something
it
we
right.
have, we have future plans for as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have other ideas to sort of run more games, um, sort of in this same style. And I mean, seriously, like the list of like other ideas for this project like is relatively long at the moment. Some of which will require a probably immeasurably more effort than even this one did. Um, but since we have everything filmed and we're like in the editing process and stuff now, I don't see why that shouldn't come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also important to remember that like people have jobs and like all that editing is taking place during free time,
Mm-hmm.
so it can't all happen overnight
Yeah.
either.
The unfortunate truth is that this channel, like we said, is something we do for fun. We love doing. We are not getting paid to do this. Anyone who watches our content hopefully will notice that there's no ads on it. We intentionally,
Yeah. So
if there
if
is,
there are ads, we never turn those on.
no,
I know Skler and Jerry have complained about
they've seen them before watching our
seeing
content.
and like even mid-roll ads and stuff like that sometimes, and it's like we did not put those there. We are not monetized through YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
We do not intend to turn ads on ever.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of a
So if you see
principle
ads on
thing.
our videos, complain to YouTube about it
Yeah.
because those shouldn't be there.
Yes. But
They
that being
probably won't do
said,
anything, but
yeah, but at least you can try. We are a bunch of adults who have jobs and work. We're, in the eyes of the law, if we murder someone, we're going to prison, not juvie. So we're adults. But
hey,
we do this for fun.
some of us are 28, man. I mean,
Yeah, some of you are
some of
old,
us are
decrepit men.
yeah,
And
some
some
of
of
us are
us are
starting to feel
27,
old.
but got sick and are taking more pills per day than they've taken their entire life and feel very old. But that's beside the point. That being said, like we want to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing
Mhm.
this, but there's gonna be times where there's delays, there's slowdowns in process. It's just because we have adult lives and we do this as much as we can with the free time we have.
Unless this channel hits a point where people are able to actually do it part time,
Mm-hmm.
um, I wouldn't necessarily expect some of the release issues and stuff to change that much. But we're kind of doing what we can, and we're going to try and get a better handle on stuff for
Yeah.
sure.
And I think that we can reasonably, after we get this sort of our setup stuff done, get back to our kind of pretty regularly releasing, 2 videos a week roughly. Kind of having a during the week video and like a weekend
Mhm.
gameplay video, which is for a while it was like 2 or 3 weekend ones depending on the games we were running, as well as something during the week. It's just a matter of me complicating things with the move and us kind of having to refocus. And with the holiday, we had a couple weeks
Mhm.
off there where we were just kind of people were traveling, spending time with family,
Mhm.
friends, getting sick, all that good stuff.
Yep.
But moving forward, I'm excited. I'm excited for this next year. I'm excited to get back into Skygate. I'm so excited for Project Border Collie to kind of get to be finalized, get finished, and get to kind of
Mhm.
start showing it because it's been such a long process. And I know that all of us involved in it are so proud and so excited to see what people think of it, and hopefully everyone will
And,
enjoy
and
it.
and I really think that like you should be proud of your part in it. Like, that was a conversation we had at the end of it. It's like the sort of the job that I asked you to do, through the course of this whole thing is very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like I did not ask an easy thing of you guys, and you really performed marvelously well. So I think you should be very, very proud of your contribution.
And very excited to unveil it. We can't keep talking about it,
Mhm.
otherwise they'll start spoiling stuff. But expect a
Um,
trailer hopefully before
mm,
too incredibly long here.
um, as far as like other sort of far-flung plans and stuff go, we should get hopefully back into doing some bonus action stuff
Mm-hmm.
before too long. I know it's been a long time since one of those came out. Uh, After Skygate and after the Epic 6, um, the Epic, I mean, the Epic 6 at the very least is like, I feel like probably getting into kind of its last half
Hmm.
with just, some of the decisions that you guys have made recently. I'm planning on running a Savage Worlds game. Uh, I'm sort of our original Savage Worlds game master from back in the day. And this will be that'll be a very sort of Indiana Jones and the Mummy inspired sort of 1930s adventure campaign, um, which really everybody's kind of excited for. Um, uh, I have no idea what you're going to be running after Skygate and whether that'll be this year or next, but
Hmm.
um, we'll kind of see with that one. We've got some plans for more kind of video game content on the channel. Um, Especially because like at least recording PC games is relatively easy for us. Um, we've been playing a lot of GTFO recently, so there's been some conversations about at least doing highlight reels or stuff like that for the channel, uh, as well as like some other kind of Baldur's Gate stuff and whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah, it's something that we've been kind of passively recording in Baldur's Gate. That's terrifying, but a lot of fun. Kind of weird playthrough that we've been doing. So that'll hopefully get kind of cut together for a little montage for the channel too at some
We've
point.
definitely at times been testing just what they prepared for.
And
Um,
been found like there's sometimes where things are kind of weird in that game if you really go out of the way. But something I've learned about Baldur's Gate 3, first of all, like standing ovation for Larian Studios, they made a phenomenal game. But the amount of depth they put into their fail safes and their fail safes and all this stuff and like expecting players to be crazy and weird is kind of amazing. It's
we
wild.
very early on in that playthrough got a cutscene no one had ever seen, and then quickly figured out why none of us had ever seen it, and like the fact that it's there is really kind of cool.
Hmm.
But it's especially for I'll say no more than especially for a kind of arachnophobe like myself, that playthrough is quite difficult. Um, but it sort of is what it
It's
is,
made
I
for some
guess.
hilarious moments though.
Yes.
Absolutely. Um,
It turns out there are a lot more candles and torches in
There's
Baldur's Gate
so
than you would
much
think.
fire in that game that you don't expect is there until you shoot web too close to
We
it.
we didn't realize that really until all of a sudden it was a major inconvenience. Uh,
Um, but yeah, so I think that's kind of a good state of the channel moving forward this new year. Um, what else? What else do you want to say? I think that's a pretty good kind of breakdown. Last year was awesome. We had some amazing moments. We had some really fun memories that we made. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming up this year. We look forward to this year, and as far as like from people who are watching, especially if you've watched this video, first of all, if you're watching a like year summary video of ours, then I assume you're somebody who actually really enjoys watching the stuff on the channel. So thank you. We appreciate you very, very much. And if you've watched till this point in the video, even more so, um, kind of like I said at the beginning, I think the big call to action is just a any sort of comments on what brought you to the channel and what you've enjoyed and what you want to see. Any other stuff along those lines is super appreciated. We want to make stuff that people want to watch. So
mhm.
any of that is helpful. Very, very
Yeah,
helpful in that.
and we got past 500 subs this year,
That's
which
true.
was at least for us really cool.
That's a really big milestone for us. Again, we're a small channel. We know we're a small
Mhm.
channel. But having over 500 people, at least a decent number of which aren't weird bots, I assume, uh, being like, I like this video or this set of videos enough that I'll keep an eye out for any other stuff they post. Like, that's more than we ever could have asked for or expected. So, anyone who's subscribed or anyone who just watches and enjoys this stuff, even if you're not subscribed, we appreciate very, very
Mhm.
much any
Absolutely.
engagement. It makes it worth it for us to do this. Like we want to play these games, we want to have these conversations, anyways. Taking the extra bit of effort to turn it into content for other people to enjoy and interact with is only meaningful if there's people there doing it. And the people, like we said at the beginning, have been an overall, overwhelmingly positive responding group
Mhm.
with support and fun opinion and conversation and a lot of openness in sharing issues they've had in their games, or sharing like, oh, I love this video you made about how to do this, and us being like, try, or asking for advice, us giving advice, and then people coming back and saying how it went. There's been a couple different like
Yeah.
conversations about that, and that I live for that stuff. I love seeing people get to take the stuff we're putting out there, use it, and have a positive result, and share that with us. So all of that interaction, keep it coming. We love it, and give it to this video too. Any sort of like I said, what brought you here, what you want to see more of, and anything you want to see that we haven't done, or any other ideas, any stuff that your wish was out there. Please just throw it out. We're happy to take any of it. And any ideas for what a good video series name would be for a mid-length, 20 to 30 minute conversation about RPG topics that isn't help action or bonus action. We're still looking. We've received some ideas, and we've come up with some of our own, but nothing's quite stuck yet. I think that's all I have to say. Anything else?
Yeah, not particularly. Just thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, everybody, for watching this and all our other stuff. It means a lot to us. It truly does. Happy 2024. Here's to 2024 being better than 2023. If you had rough stuff last year, I hope this year is a lot better to you. I know a lot of people have gone through a lot of stuff these last couple of years. So hopefully, positive stuff for everybody moving forward. Now go forth, slay dragons, sling spells, roll dice, and enjoy your downtime activities.